Okay, today let us reflect on what it means to live a worthy life, and how a worthy life can gradually mature into a noble life. Since we are born as humans, it is essential for us to understand the unique value, opportunity, and responsibility that come with human existence. Okay? We are all human beings. And to appreciate the significance of human life, let us compare it with heavenly birth. Now, if you are given a choice, being born as a human or as a deva or heavenly being, which would you choose? Okay, who wants to be a deva? Only one. Okay. Who wants to remain as human? None. Okay, you see, in many religions, people practice to go to heaven, right? You believe in God, okay? You can go to heaven. Okay? So, how do we view heaven in the Buddhist life? Do you want to go to heaven? Looks like nobody interested in going to heaven. Yeah? So you are very wise. Okay, before you decide to go to heaven, okay, let's look at what are the characteristics of heavenly beings. Heavenly beings have divine age. They have long lifespan compared to humans. They have divine beauty. Okay? They are very beautiful. Not like humans. Some are beautiful, some are ugly. Then they have divine happiness. Okay? There's no suffering one. Okay? In the heavenly realm, they don't have this human body like us. They don't have to bathe every day. Because their body is very refined. Right? So, they don't have to worry about being hungry or this. There's abundance. Right? So, they have divine happiness. But some of the pitfall being a deva, okay, is divine beings sometimes consider human birth as a superior or happy destination. Why? Because usually when a divine being passes away, just before they pass away, okay, all the other devas will come and wish this deva, to be reborn as a human being. Okay. So devas want to become human, okay, and humans want to become devas. That is because in a deva world, because they enjoy so much so that they lack in practice. They become heedless. Imagine you enjoy your life every day. You're so rich, you can everything in the world. Would you want to practice? You have no time to practice, right? You prefer to enjoy. So devas are caught in this kind of condition. Okay, what about human birth? Humans have these three qualities which are lacking in the heavenly realm. One is courage. Human beings have courage. Without courage, you find that we don't have a lot of invention. Human beings like to try new things. They invent new things. Today you can fly, not because you got wings, because we have aeroplanes, right? Human beings can invent things like aeroplane, that you can even fly in the sky. Of course, devas don't need aeroplanes to fly. So human beings have courage. We are very innovative. Okay, now with AI technology, a lot of things human beings don't need to do themselves. This morning I was just watching a new discovery. They have a machine where you put your head inside. You can cut your hair, perm your hair, do whatever hairstyle you want. within a few seconds. So we have this courage to go for new things and try new things. Okay? And human beings, we have this quality called mindfulness. You can practice mindfulness if you have the right view. Then, and the other thing is to practice the holy life. That we have a capacity to practice the Noble Path shown by the Buddha. So normally human beings themselves, they consider themselves inferior to divine beings and want to be reborn as heavenly beings. But the setback of the heavenly being is, as I said, they experience undiluted happiness, which tends to lead them to heedlessness and to quickly establish mindfulness. So now you know lah, which you prefer, still the human life. Since we are born as human, it is important for us to understand the unique value, opportunity, and responsibility that come with human existence. So as humans, we got responsibility. Right? Nowadays, you see a lot of chaos in the world. It's because a lot of human beings, they are not acting according to moral values. Okay? The quality of shame and fear, okay, is no longer there. Okay? So there's no shame when they do wrong. There's no fear of the consequences when they do wrong things. That's why a lot of evil is committed. Okay? And you see that humans are suffering because of wars. So the Buddha said that human life is very rare. Right? Hard is the life of mortals. Rare is opportunity to listen to the sublime Dhamma. So today you are human. Okay? So it's very rare you are here. It's also because of your good merits that you are born as human. Okay? So being a human is not easy. Okay? Life is hard. You have to work every day. Okay? You have to go to work. You got to earn a living. Why? Because all of us have mortgage to pay. You have to make sure that you can pay for your housing loan. You have to make sure you get to pay for your car loan. You got to make sure that you have enough money for your children's education. You got to make sure that you got food on the table for the family. Right? When you fall sick, you also need money, okay, to seek medical attention. So life as a mortal is not easy. Right? So even though we are human, okay, we still have to go through the process of being a human. Rare is the opportunity to listen to the sublime Dhamma. So you're all very lucky people. Every week you can come to Babs and listen to the teaching. And also we have many good teachers coming here to teach. And even rarer is the arising of a Buddha. So without the Buddha, we would not have this teaching today. So we have to appreciate this. So one of the many blessings that we can reflect on is you have attained a human birth, okay, and a supreme vehicle for awakening. Because the Buddha said, as a human, okay, you can walk this noble path and become liberated. Okay? I don't use enlightened, okay? I use liberation or freedom. So many beings do not get this. And you recognize that and reflect upon this blessing. Right? So the first is human being. So when I was born, I was given shelter, security, and food. I'm sure all of you are not abandoned when you were born. Right? You are taken care of by your parents, and you're given shelter, security, and food. That's why you are now an adult. I've been born in a time and place where the Buddha's teachings are available. And that will lead to my highest welfare. So the Buddha's teaching is very important because it will lead us to our well-being. I'm endowed with body and mind capable of practicing these teachings. Again, even though you have the teachings, if you don't have a physical body that is healthy, okay, and a mind that can comprehend the teaching, we are also not blessed. And you have access to teachers who are experienced in the Dhamma and are happy to freely offer teaching and guidance. So we are very lucky. Okay? A lot of senior monks who are well practiced, they come over and give us the teaching and inspiration. So at this time, I'm in a place where food, shelter, and teachings are freely available, okay, offered for my welfare and benefit. So I'm in the company of others who are of upright mind. Many beings don't get this. So you have to recognize and reflect on this blessing. So this is New Year, okay? So this is something that we can reflect on as our blessing. Okay, now I want to share with you how people live. Once there were 4 beings who were supposed to take birth. And before they take birth, they have to appear before the Lord of Death. And the Lord of Death will tell them where they will be born. So being A, okay, was brought before the Lord of Death. And he was told by the Lord of Death that he will be born as a human being for 30 years. After that, he passed away. So this being is very upset. To be born and die at 30 is tragic. Right? That is a peak, okay, the prime age for human beings. Right? I don't know, some people are at prime age at 60. But usually at 30 you have the strength, you can do a lot of things, that's when you get married also. So this being was very upset. Okay, so a lot of that say you have short life because you have been breaking the 5 precepts very often. So, but he got no choice lah. That's his karma. So after that he moved aside. Okay. Then being B was brought before the Lord of Death. Being B was told that he will be born as a cow for 60 years. Well, 60 years as a cow is not a good life, You have to work very hard in the fields for 60 years, So the second being asked for leniency so that his life be shortened. So the Lord of Death told the second being, okay, I shorten your life to 30 years. Right? So he was quite happy lah. Being a cow for 30 years is better than being a cow for 60 years, right? So he moved aside after that. The first being listening to the conversation asked the Lord of Death, say, since you have taken away 30 years from the second being, can I have the 30 years? So the Lord of Death said, okay, I'll give you the 30 years. Right. Next, the third being came, okay, and was told that he will be born as a dog for 20 years. 20 years, okay? So, depending on what type of dog lah. If you're a pet dog, 20 years is okay. But you don't know what kind of dog you'll be. So anyway, the third being said, I don't want to be a dog for so long. Okay? So again, the Lord of Death say, okay, I reduce for you. 10 years as a dog. So he moved aside. The first being, after hearing this, say, can I have the 10 years? So Lord of Death say, okay, I give you the 10 years. Then the last being, the fourth one, is a terrible being. Okay? He do all sorts of unwholesome acts, and he's supposed to be born in hell for 1,000,000 years. Okay? And again, the Lord of Death, he asked for leniency, asked for shorter lifespan in hell. So his lifespan was shortened to half. Then the first being came and asked for additional 10 years. Well, human beings cannot live too long. 80 is good enough. So 30 years, 30 plus 30 from the cow, 60, plus 10 from the dog is 70, plus 10 from the fourth being is 80. So he was born as a human being for 80 years. Interesting, isn't it? He can live until 80, quite good. So for the first 30 years, he was so happy. He got what he wanted, born in a good family, and got a good education, have a good degree, and started his job in a good company. So first 30 years, he was so happy. Then the next 30 years, after he set up his family, he got to work like a cow for the next 30 years. Working very hard, to earn money, to buy things, to support the family, to support the children, education, everything. Then after that, the children go overseas, left the home. But he got a big bungalow, a big house. And only the two of them in the house, the wife and him. And the children don't come back and see them. So they have to take care of the house like a dog for the next 10 years. After that, they became sick, bedridden. And the children also don't come back and see them, take care of them. So they suffer like that. Suffer for the last 10 years before they pass away. And this sounds very familiar, right? So a lot of people, they live their life like that. They work very hard when they're young. Build up a family, work like a cow. And then after that, their house become empty. Emptiness. They have to, you can get a maid, can't get a maid, you have to clean yourself. So they will take care of the house, make sure that nobody come and steal their thing. Like a dog, they have to protect their home. And finally, if you fall sick, and nobody take care of you, it's terrible. So many of us, if we don't have a good spiritual grounding, our spiritual tree is very small. We don't know where to seek help. Many of us, we have very big material trees. If you ask anybody, they have a lot of houses, a lot of cars, a lot of things to spare. But when you come to spiritual things, they can't even find what is the thing that they can fall back to when they're old. So to be born as human is very rare. We must not waste our life like that. So the Buddha gave a simile of a blind turtle. When you're to be born as a human, it's like a blind turtle that surfaces every 100 years to the surface of the ocean. And he's put his neck into a hole. A piece of wood with a hole. Just imagine, if you have a piece of wood floating in a sea, it'll be moving all the time. It'll move according to the wave and also the wind direction. And this turtle who is blind can pop his head into the hole. So this is the simile that the Buddha gave, that the probability of putting the head inside is very, very slim. So to be born as human is very rare. So as I mentioned just now, a worthy life, you must have, of course, material support. You must have enough to sustain this body, enough to have a healthy body, and also a spiritual needs must be fulfilled. So what are spiritual needs? Spiritual needs is actually training the mind. So human beings, we are all made up of two things only, okay? The body and the mind. People ask you what you're made up of. You don't tell them you're made up of 4 elements. even though technically, yes, you're made up of the 4 elements of earth, water, fire, and wind. Right? But you're made up of this body and mind. Right? The body is our physical body. Our mind is our feelings, perception, mental volition, and consciousness. Right? So we have this, what we call the 5 aggregates. So in our spiritual training, okay, we take care of these 5 aggregates that we have as a human being. So what makes your life worthy? Okay, one is to associate with noble friends who will guide us towards what is wholesome. So if you're not careful, if you mix with the wrong people, wrong company, you'll be influenced by them. Or some people say they are very strong. You can't be influenced by other people. But mind you, okay, the human mind is very weak. If you're not careful, you'll be influenced by the company that you mix with. So when you're older, when you're more mature, then you know how to choose your friends. But when you're young, especially teenagers, wow, everybody are their friends. Yeah. And if you're not careful, okay, you will mix with people who are not noble, okay, who will lead you towards unwholesomeness. Secondly, we must have wise attention, directing the mind to what truly matters. So again, besides our physical needs, we still need to give direction to the mind, what we want to do. Right? We cannot live a life that is aimless. Right? Some people are asking, what is your purpose of life? I don't know. Yeah. Is your life meaningful? Not sure. Yeah. So nowadays you find a lot of teenagers, especially young people, they live as if it's the last day of their life. They don't even think of their future. But if you think of your future, then you will need to look into your actions, okay, your karma. Because whatever you do has its results. Right? So by directing our mind towards good intention, then we are able to make the mind wholesome, creating more and more good karma, so that the results of the good karma will take effect in the future. Right? So we have to have wise attention, okay, towards these methods. And the mind is a forerunner. Hey, whatever we do, the mind takes the lead. Right? It's only through the mind that our actions follow accordingly, whether in speech or physical action. So training the mind and directing the mind in the right direction and developing right view are essential, okay, to make your life worthy. And to practice in accordance with the Dhamma. So we have the Dhamma, we know the Dhamma. Right? So this is our guide. Right? The Buddha said the Dhamma is like a raft. If you want to cross an ocean or a river, you need a raft. You can't swim. Even though you're a good swimmer, you'll be swept away by the current. So you need a raft. So the Dhamma is like a raft. Okay? It brings us to the other shore, to freedom, to liberation. So what do we practice, okay, as followers of the Buddha? So that not only our life becomes worthy, but it leads us to a noble life. Worthy is one, okay? But noble life means you reach until at least the first stage of sainthood. Okay? So when you reach the first stage of sainthood, you are safe. Okay? You are only reborn 7 times, the most. Right? So there are 5 qualities that are recommended, okay, for us to practice: faith, generosity, morality, mental culture, and wisdom. So faith is faith in the triple gem. Right? Today we are here is because we have faith in the triple gem. We come here to pay homage to the Buddha. We take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha. Okay. So there is the beginning of our practice, is to develop faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Okay. So having faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha means that we take the Buddha as our teacher, okay, and recognize that we as humans have this Buddha nature to be trained to be enlightened, just like the Buddha. So the refuge that we have is not an external refuge, but a refuge that we recognize that within ourselves we have this potential to be liberated, just like the Buddha. So once you are liberated, you are not subject to birth and death, the cycle of samsara. Right? So you don't have to worry about whether you have a worthy life or not in future. Okay, there's no more rebirth. Okay, so there's no more dukkha. Okay? So the first refuge that we take is refuge in the Buddha. The second is to take refuge in the Dhamma. Okay? And what is the Dhamma? The Dhamma that we talk about in general, okay, Dhamma means reality or universal law. Right? But here the Dhamma we are referring to is the Dhamma thought by the Buddha. Okay? Now the Buddha, even though he's an all-knowing one, okay, sometimes he's referred to as the all-knowing one. He knows the cosmos. He knows what's about the world, about the various planes of existence, about karma and all these things. Okay? But the Buddha did not teach everything to us. Okay? What the Buddha teach is suffering and the end of suffering. Enough for us to get out of the world of cycle of samsara. Okay? So the Dhamma is what the Buddha has taught us. The Buddha don't teach you economics, you know. The Buddha don't teach you architecture, engineering, accounting. You know? All these are mundane knowledge. But what the Buddha teaches is how to overcome suffering. Okay? When we suffer, okay, why do we suffer? Okay? So the Buddha gave the reason for our suffering. Okay, that is craving. Okay? And the Buddha talks about how to end the suffering is by practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay? So the Buddha's teaching is very clear and very simple, but not easy to practice. Okay, because we are caught in a stream where we are going against the Dhamma. Okay? So we are going against the stream of suffering, and yet we are looking for happiness. Okay? So the happiness we get, okay, are all impermanent. They are transient. Okay? they are not ultimate happiness. So in order to have to have more happiness, okay, first is to reduce the suffering first. If you suffer less, it means you are happier. Okay, true or not? You don't have to seek for sensual pleasure. Okay, contentment is happiness, but we don't equate contentment to happiness. Some people equate contentment to boring, being boring. Nothing exciting. So they don't equate contentment to happiness. So we developed this, what do you call it? The faith in the Dhamma, okay, on what the Buddha has taught us, and adhere to the Dhamma. So the Dhamma is within us, actually. Whatever happens to this body and mind, that is Dhamma. Okay? You can see all the suffering and happiness within this mind. Okay? You can see all the suffering and happiness within this body. Right now, even you're sitting here, you're actually suffering, you know. After sitting for some time, you shift your position. Sometimes you shift your legs, sometimes you cross-legged, sometimes you put your legs at the back. Why do you do that? It's because you feel uncomfortable. Okay? After noticing that you feel uncomfortable, you move so that you feel more comfortable. So your body experience dukkha now. Okay? But this is not the intense dukkha. Okay? But if you go through, you have to go through very serious illness. That is even more dukkha. Now we can move, we are mobile. But if you fracture your leg or your hand, you find that you become immobile. Right? And that's where you have to depend on others. So there's more dukkha. So the Buddha teaches how to overcome this suffering. Then you take refuge in the Sangha. Right? Now the Sangha, conventionally, it represents the community of monks, okay, who practice well, who have the qualities and energy to practice. Okay? But you can also view the Sangha as a path. Okay? The path that you are following. Okay? The qualities that you develop when you practice the path. Okay? So it can also refer to a spiritual community. Okay? Like all of you are the Sangha community because you already know the path, you already know how to practice. Okay? And when you take refuge, okay, we consider ourselves already in the path. Okay. A lot of times, Buddhists will see the path as something external. Okay. When I tell you there's a path, you think there's an external path. Okay. And sometimes you're in the path when you practice. When you're not practicing, you're outside the path. Yeah. So this is one view on how people practice. But when we say we take refuge in the Sangha, it will mean that we are already in the path. Right? We are already walking the path. It's only how far away from the goal only. Some walk faster, some walk slower. So if you put in more effort, then you move faster. If you put in less effort, you only practice when you're free, then you're slower. Okay? But whether you're fast or slow, it doesn't matter. There are always people ahead of you, there are always people behind you. But always remember, there are always people beside you. Okay? Walking the same path. Okay? And this will give you encouragement. Okay? The people beside you will also encourage you to practice together. Okay? The people ahead of you will give you some guidance on how to practice. And you can also help those behind you. So along the path, there's many things, to fulfill, you have to put in the right effort. Okay? So if you view the three refuges like that, it becomes an internal refuge. Right? Not something external. Right? A lot of people, they go to the Buddha image, they ask for things, ask Buddha to help. Ask Buddha to give blessing, ask Buddha to give you this, give you that. But the blessing is within you. Because you are born as humans, you have the capacity to be awakened. Right? You already know the Dhamma. Right? So practice according to the Dhamma. The Dhamma will protect you. If you do wholesome things, you will receive wholesome results. Right? So the Dhamma will protect you. And the Sangha is the path towards liberation, which we are already in it. We don't look outside of it. You're already inside it. So how much effort you put in will help you to develop the qualities of patience, endurance, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So that's how we develop faith. So as human beings, this is our refuge. Right? A refuge that will start our practice. Without faith, you won't start your practice. So once you have the faith, then you practice generosity. Okay, it's easier to practice generosity because if you see things that people who are in need, okay, it's quite easy to offer help. Okay? In terms of monetary or in terms of service. So what is the essence of this practice? Essence of this practice is to reduce our selfishness or greed. Okay? In fact, every religion teaches this. Teaches people to be generous. Okay? So when people are more generous, then there is less suffering in the world. Okay? Because most of the time, there's always an imbalance. Okay? The rich people will have too much. The poor people will not have enough. Okay? So it is said that there's more than enough for everybody in the world, provided it's equally distributed. Okay? So the have to help the have-nots. So the world is not enough for everybody's greed, but it is enough for everybody's need. Okay, the next level of practice is morality, your precepts. So this morning you chanted the 5 precepts: non-killing, non-stealing, non-sexual misconduct, non-lying, and also non-intoxicant. So these are very simple precepts that create harmony in society. So imagine, if everybody in Bandar Utama were to keep the 5 precepts. How nice. You won't be afraid, that your neighbor come and kill you or steal your things, or commit sexual misconduct, okay, or lie to you, okay, or get drunk and cause havoc. Right. So you don't even have to lock your door when you come out, because you know your neighbors won't come and take your things. Right. But that is ideal. It's an ideal situation. Not everybody are Buddhists, and not all Buddhists keep the 5 precepts. So this is more of a moral training. Right? So imagine if everybody keep the 5 precepts, there won't be war in the world. People won't fight. Right? People won't steal from each other. The two basic things. Even the physical law don't allow that. If you steal or you kill, it's a criminal law. It's covered. You'll be caught and punished. So moral precepts are important to maintain harmony in society. Okay? And of course, when we practice this precept, the principle behind this precept is moral shame and fear. Right? So if people have moral shame and fear, you don't even need the precept. Right? People will not do things that is shameful. People will not do things that are fearful. Right? And you are fearful of the consequences, you will not do it. So people don't kill because they know, if they are caught, they will be sentenced. And this moral precept also helps us to strengthen our resolve in our practice. Because some people, they think that as long as people don't know, they can break the precept. Okay? But if you got moral shame and fear, there is consequences. Even nobody see you doing it, You take something from the office, without permission and you don't put it back. It's stealing actually. Yeah. So, you can practice to such a level that, even nobody see it, you don't break the precept. Right? So when the Buddha, before he was enlightened, when he was a bodhisattva, he was training under one teacher. And this teacher actually was looking for somebody to marry his daughter. Right? But he needs somebody who is honest, okay, and has integrity. So he wanted to test his disciples who has this quality. So he called all his disciples, okay, and he gave them an assignment to go to the villages and take whatever they can find. That means to steal. Right? The one who can bring in the most things will be able to marry the daughter. So all his disciples went, okay, and collected a lot of things back. Right? But our bodhisattva, he came up with nothing. No, the condition is you take the things without people watching you. That means people don't know. You don't rob from them, you don't force. But you take the things as long as there's nobody watching. So the other disciples brought in a lot of things, except our bodhisattva. He came back with nothing. So the teacher asked him, how come there's nothing that you brought back? So the bodhisattva explained, even though there were occasions where there were no people around and he can take the things from the house of other people, he say he's always watching. Okay? He himself is always watching. So there was no occasion where nobody is watching for him to take things back. So from this, that even when nobody is around, you are still around. Okay? You are watching your own actions of what is happening. Right? So we have to practice our moral precept to such an extent. Right? Okay, besides moral precepts, we need to practice mental culture. Mental culture is very important because mind is a forerunner. We've got to cultivate the mind, develop the mind, so that our actions in terms of speech and bodily actions are also wholesome. So how do we cultivate the mind? Cultivate mind through mindfulness. Okay? Practice of mindfulness. So when the Buddha talks about mindfulness, is training the mind to be aware not only of the body but also of the mind. Okay? That means to wash the mind, wash the body. Okay? And the common practice is to watch your breath. Okay? So many people have been watching the breath for many, many years, and the question arises, what do I get by watching the breath? Some people have watched the breath for 20 years and they don't know what they're watching. Right? They don't know the essence of the practice. Right? The essence of the practice is to develop my wisdom. Right? And how by watching the mind can lead you to wisdom. Right? So you may find that, some of you may find that watching the breath is easy. It's not easy. If I ask you to watch 10 breaths continuously, what will happen? You try and see. Just be aware of your breathing in and out. 10 times continuously. If you can't stay with the object, never mind. You use counting. Breathing in 1, breathing in, breathing out 1, breathing in, breathing out 2. You do it 10 times. Okay, how many of you can stay with the breath continuously for 10 times? None. That's how you hear some sound there. Sound of knocking of the glass. So your attention is gone already. Okay, so it's not easy. So when you want to watch your breath, there are other disturbances. Okay? Some of you close your eyes. If you close your eyes, then it's easier because there's nothing to distract you in terms of your vision. Right? But what becomes obvious when you close your eyes is your hearing, the sound. Right? You're very sensitive to sound because we have 5 senses. Okay, we have the eyes, the hearing, the smelling, tasting, and touching. These are the 5 senses. So when you close your eyes, you are actually cutting away a lot of sight. What you see in front. Because the mind is very busybody. Whatever you see, you have judgment. Even you see this color, sometimes you don't like the color. There's always reaction towards it. When you see certain people you don't like, then also your feeling arises. So the sight, once you close your eyes, you cut off a lot of things. That's why a lot of people, they don't want problem, they say, "Mongan Thai." Don't want to see. The moment you see, a lot of problem. So your smell is cut off because you don't have food here. Nice fragrance for you to smell. So no problem. You're not eating anything, so no problem with taste. Touch, yes. You're sitting on a cushion. Okay, there is some sensation, hardness of the cushion. But normally that one When you're used to sitting, you're not even aware of that sensation. So your hearing becomes very sharp. Yeah? So when somebody open the door, somebody knock something, then you can hear something. Okay? So our mind gets distracted. Okay? Because our five senses can actually absorb only present moment object. Whatever your five senses can feel, okay, can detect at this point of time, are all present moment object. When the object is not there, you can't perceive the object. So this is a very important point to take note of when we do cultivation of the mind. The mind, okay, that's of our body, with the senses. The mind that we are training, okay, is very unique. Right? It can perceive past, present, and future of it. Right? You can think of your past, right? You can think of what you did yesterday, what you did a week ago, a year ago, maybe when you were young. Right? You can also plan for the future. Right? What you're going to do tomorrow, okay, next week, following week, and so on. You can also stay with the present. So to cultivate the mind, what we do is we stay with the present. We anchor the mind with the present moment using mindfulness. So the word mindfulness here is meant remembering to be aware of the present. That means remember to come back to the present moment. So in order to do that, the easiest way is to use the body. Okay? Because your body have the five senses. And the five senses, whatever you detect, are all present moment objects. So we use this concept to anchor the mind to the body. Otherwise, you find that in your everyday life, your mind, when your five senses are active, your mind think of a lot of things. Right? And you find that 80% of the thoughts are not necessary ones. But it keeps coming to the mind because of our past conditioning. Okay? So we go on and on, proliferating what is unnecessary. That's why wise attention is important. Okay? You only do things that are important to you because life is short. You do a lot of unnecessary things, then you're wasting a lot of time. So we need to know what is good for us. So when you cultivate your mind, you only develop things that are wholesome and discard things which are unwholesome. Okay? And that's where your right effort comes in. Okay? The fourfold right effort of developing the wholesomeness that is already in you, developing the wholesomeness that have not arisen, discarding the evil or unwholesomeness that has already arisen, and to prevent the unwholesomeness that have not arisen. Okay? Using the four right effort. So this is what we call the noble way. Okay? If you can develop strong mindfulness, it brings you to concentration. That means your mind becomes peaceful, calm, free from the five hindrances. And when your mind is concentrated, then you can see things clearly. You can see things as they really are. You can see the nature of phenomena. Okay, that all phenomena have the characteristics of dukkha, or unsatisfactoriness, impermanence, and non-self. Okay, that's where we develop wisdom. Okay? So once you can see impermanence, then there's less attachment. Okay, then you can let go. Okay? The wisdom is about letting go, right? Not gaining. Right? So ultimately, it will lead you to wisdom. So all these are all contained in the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay? Starting with right view, right thought, right action, right speech, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So if we follow this path, it will lead us to liberation. This is the path to liberation. So now this practice is not only for monks. During the Buddha's time, not only monks become enlightened or attain at least the first stage of sainthood, even lay people also attain first stage of sainthood. Like King Sodrodana, the father of Prince Siddhartha, Anatta Bhinika is a layman benefactor, Lady Visakha, and Jivaka. Jivaka is the physician of the Buddha. So our practice will lead us to become a noble one. Okay, a noble one has these 4 stages. First stage is Sotapanna. Second stage is Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahant. First stage is stream winner. So once you attain the first stage of sainthood, you only have a maximum 7 more lives. If you are once returner, then you only have 1 more life. If you are Anagami, you'll be reborn in a pure abode until you become enlightened. Okay? Or within this very life, you can also become Arahant, okay, or the saint. So in closing, we have to reflect on these few things. One is being human is a blessing. Right? It's rare to be born as a human. And presently, okay, if we don't have a life that's worthy, at least we know what are the things that lead to worthy life. Now, even if you do not become enlightened, in your next life, at least aim to be a human, okay, or become a higher being, being in a higher realm. Okay? Of course, if you can attain liberation, please go ahead and practice towards this path. So a worthy life can also lead you to a noble life.